Welcome everyone. Today I have an amazing new Necromancer guide for Season 8. Looking behind me, you can see some pretty hefty numbers, over 31 billion and also multiple crits. So let's have a look at this build in action, and this is a Pit 75. So here, this is a 4-man boss. So the HP scaling is 4 times higher and the monsters are much more tanky, but you can still see the power of this build. So jumping over to the fights, and let's have a look at those lovely orange numbers. So this is my friend Das's latest update of the Necromancer for the endgame farming using the Blood Wave. And as expected guys, this is one of the strongest Necromancer build, or one of the strongest meta build that is available. Over here, you can easily stack over 20,000 life and get 200% movement speed and tons of life recovery. Most of your damage is coming from overpower and you're stacking with your maximum life. With the new boss powers, you're also regenerating life per second, means that you become unkillable, super speedy, and pretty much can one-shot everything on the map. And as we can see over here, my friend Death is currently carrying 3 other players in this particular test run, just to show you guys how powerful it is. Now, if he were to play solo on Pit 75 or Pit 80, the build is even faster. And one of the best things about this build is that not only it's extremely mobile with tons of mobility, tons of life recovery, it is also really high in AoE damage clear. And this means that you can be speed farming, you can be a boss slayer, you can pretty much do everything in the game that is available in Season 8. This build only requires 1 unique item to get going, and all the other item pieces only scales further for the build to make it even stronger. You can of course use mythical unique items, but it is not needed. And as you guys can see, you have tons of survivability, barrier, and also fortified life, which allows us to become unkillable and extremely mobile. Now, how does the build work is that you are casting Blood Wave. You are stacking as many darkness spells on the skill bar, because each darkness spell will provide you with additional movement speed and also bonus damage multiplier. This gives you mobility and also returning Blood Wave into a darkness spell. So this means it also gains applications coming from the shadow powers of the Necromancer. You have increasing mobility coming from the unique aspects and also additional controls with Corpse Tendril, which also makes enemy vulnerable. By grouping enemies together, they're going into a roller coaster or washing machine, which pretty much one-shot or two-shots them within 1 to 2 seconds. Now, because this build is so well-rounded, you can see the extreme mobility, survivability, and everything related to the build. So if you guys are looking for endgame Necromancer farming build, this is definitely the one that's recommended pretty much by everyone. And if you haven't tried it, definitely try this out after you acquire some decent gears that can be easily scaling towards higher survivability, because we're going with maximum life as well. So coming over to the boss fight. Well, for the boss fight, it is very similar. You're pretty much debuffing the boss and then casting Blood Wave multiple times as they come off cooldown. Your Decrypify will also allow you to lower your cooldowns, and this means that you can be hitting the boss multiple times. Once the boss is staggered because you have additional stuns, you can then quickly one-shot or two-shot the boss within a few seconds. So briefly going through the core mechanics of this Blood Wave Necromancer build. Over here, you'll be having ways of casting your Blood Wave and also scaling this one with darkness spells. And you'll be stacking a lot of darkness spells together with gaining maximum life on each of your gears. Together with the ability to sacrifice your minions, having great mobility, and also additional waves of Blood Wave, you also have ways of reducing Blood Wave cooldowns. So the goal is to cast multiple Blood Wave and then scaling towards maximum life and also tons of skill rank with both survivability and also offensiveness. So coming over to a builder's guide, and you can also see there's 2 variants. The current variant is going to use most of the legendary aspects together with 1 unique armor. And the second variant is going to be a mythical setup. Should you guys have the ability and also have the luck to find those mythical items, the build becomes even stronger in the ultra late game. So coming over to the Pit 75 plus farming setup, the build can easily do Pit 80 plus solo, and it does tons of damage and also great survivability. How does the build work is that we're currently using 1 unique pens that is dropped from the Lord Tsar with a Blood Boss. And these pens can be purchased through the trading sites if you guys are really having a hard time to find it, or you can try to gamble for these pens. These pens will provide you with chance of Blood Wave dealing double damage, and also tons of ways to fortify your life and also reduce cooldowns. So this is the essential piece for the Blood Wave Mage or Blood Wave Necromancer. In terms of the rest of the gears, as for the helmet, we're going to have the aura, which allows us to auto casting Decryptify, which can lower our cooldowns massively. And over here we have the damage reduction coming from the hardened bones. As you can see, in terms of the gear choices, you're looking to temper and also greater Affix into maximum life. Not only this provides you with tons of survivability, life recovery per second through the burst power, it also scales towards the overpower damage we can deal, together with higher fortified scaling as well. And in terms of the gloves over here, we're sacrificing the minions, so we have the sacrificial aspects. As for the boots, this is more for mobility. You'll be getting tons of movement speed and also turning Shiver, which is going to be a darkness spell, into a mobility blink spell. In terms of the two-hand weapon, you're using a two-handed mace for Blood Wave fires 2 additional waves, scaling with maximum life and also chances for Blood Wave to deal double damage. In terms of the amulet, we're having additional ranks to Tides of Blood. This is the most essential part of the amulet, and you do want to get this one to rank 3 and even greater effects, and then going forward with tempering these effects. Over here, Blood Orbs will reduce ultimate cooldowns, and this is essential to constantly be casting your ultimate. Aspects of the dam will provide us with additional shadow damage, and over here we're turning a Blood Wave into shadow ability as well, which allows it to deal shadow damage, together with life scaling on both of the rings, cooldown reduction, and also additional damage while fortified. Now in terms of the minions, we're sacrificing all the minions of course, so we're sacrificing the warriors for additional shadow damage, we're sacrificing the mages for additional overpower damage, and sacrificing the golems for additional critical damage. Now in terms of the boss powers, over here we're using Viserion's Life Seal. As you're going to see in the demonstration of the replay, there is a link between you and also the monsters, which will constantly restore your life, so this makes our build unkillable. You have so much life, over 20,000 life, and every second you're recovering tons of life. Over here, the Blight Eye Beam will provide us with overpower damage, together with higher vulnerability damage, and also even higher critical chance. We'll be going with rubies of course for overpower damage, intelligence on the armor pieces, and also any missing resistance or armor should you want for your amulets and also for your rings. In terms of the ruins, we also have ways to gain 20% maximum life, and also over here we have ways of stunning and also staggering enemies. Now briefly coming over to the mercenaries, it is quite straightforward. We're going with Shabu, and Shabu will provide us with even higher critical damage, and Rinka over here will provide us with more defensiveness with Bastion in high level dungeons. Now in terms of the mythical setup, should you guys have the luckiness to find the mythical items, you can replace the helm and also the chest piece. And at the same time, you can then change the auto casting aura onto the boots. This will lose a bit of the mobility spell, but this will give you tons of damage and also greater scaling because of those two essential pieces to give you even better stats. Now briefly coming over to the skill passives. Over here we'll be perking into those darkness spells and also putting them on the skill bar. And because of the passive, each darkness spells you put on, you'll be getting additional movement speed and also damage amplification. We also have Blight over here to give us even higher damage amplification, and over here you can see we'll be perking into a number of those passives. Those passives also give us additional armor and also survivability. We'll be going with Decryptify of course, and auto casting Decryptify because of the aura, and this reduces our cooldowns massively because of the lucky hit chance. And yes, we're stacking a bit of lucky hit chance. Now because Blood Wave is also a darkness spell, we'll be stacking over here for each of the darkness spell that is available on the skill bar, and you can see this scales at least 6% per darkness spells for more movement and also more damage. We can also stagger enemies and also stun them using the lucky hits, and over here we have additional scaling with darkness spells and also blood spells. Now Corpse Tendril is used over here to group enemies and also make them vulnerable, while we're perking into all the points into Blood Wave together with sacrificing minions and also more ultimate damage. We also have additional critical chance, and also finally we will be dealing overpower damage using our blood spells. Now briefly going through the Paragon board. Over here we're running 5 different ruins with Amplify, Essence, Abyssal, Dominate, and also Sacrificial. And in terms of the legendary nodes, over here we have the Blood Begets Blood. Blood Orbs will granting us additional damage, and we'll be getting a lot of Blood Orbs. And over here we have Bloodbath, which allows us to deal high overpower damage. And on this side, we have Scent of Death, which means we have damage reduction and also even higher critical damage. And finally, we have Fatality, which allows us to deal higher damage against cursed enemies, and this also stacks even further with the auto casting of the aura of the curses. Now coming back to the replays and briefly have a look at the skill rotations and also additional tips. You're using Server as your mobility spell to blink around, and as you face group of enemies, you can use Corpse Tendril or Blood Wave to group them together. It really depends on how you want to do this, and once they're grouped together, you can use your Blood Wave to pretty much one-shot them as they get stunned by you. And in terms of mobility, you can be blinking around, finding groups of enemies, and then repeating the process. The build itself is very simple and there's a lot of room for mistakes. Whenever you get stunned or whenever something happens, you have so much life, so much barrier, and also fortified, you're pretty much unkillable with tons of sustain. And together with tons of movement speed and mobility, this build feels very smooth and also insanely fast for the Necromancer to be farming any content. Obviously, over here you can see my friend was stunned, but that's okay. He pretty much recovers without losing any barrier and then finishing the monsters off with 1 or 2 hits. Now in terms of the boss fight, it is also straightforward. Over here you can also cast Blight onto the boss for additional damage, and you just repeat the process. You are casting Blood Wave, and you also want to be closer to the boss, so you're always debuffing the boss with your auras, and this will also lower your cooldown. And during this time, make sure you collect the blood orbs to reduce your cooldowns, and that is pretty much the setup. You're always spamming your Blood Wave together with abilities to increase your damage, and you're pretty much unkillable against most content that is available in the game. This build is a great boss slaying build that can be used against any of the bosses in the current content. So what I do now is I'll provide you guys with this entire carry run for 75 of the pit with 4-man players. And during this video, if you look at the end of the video, you can see everything that's related to the current setup with the choices of the gears, the Paragon, and everything that is used to carry this particular team. Now this build can become even stronger with the mythical items if you look into the variants. And of course, with higher levels to Paragon, you'll be getting even higher stats and also higher glyph levels. Now, hopefully you guys found today's video helpful. Again, a big thank you to everyone on YouTube, especially our supporters and also those of you guys who's been supporting me on Patreon as well. And we do have a new feature on the Mattjestic YouTube channel. If you click onto this, you can become a member. Yes, I've added this just recently, and this will allow you to have early access to videos that is posted a few hours or even half a day earlier if you want to watch those videos a little early. But yes, this will cost money. So please be aware the membership will cost money. And if you do want to watch videos normally, those videos will still be available after 6 to 12 hours, normally on the time we post those videos. And I'll be aiming to post at least 1 Path of Exile video a day. And this will be including guides, tips, news update, and also the latest tricks that is discovered on both the English and also Chinese community to keep you guys updated. And if you like those videos, make sure you leave a nice comment and also leave a like for those videos. Now, if you guys haven't subscribed, it is a really good time to do so, because I'll be covering tons of Diablo 4 related topics and also videos and also guides. We'll be looking to the top meta builds, non-meta builds, leveling up, and also Paragon tricks. We're also looking to the latest events and also official updates, and also changes to different characters and also different builds in the game. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and also turn the notification on, because a lot of you who are watching the videos have not subscribed. You can see 80% of the viewers who are watching our videos have not subscribed, so make sure you subscribe to stay tuned for the latest update for Diablo 4.